All right, so picture this. A company, they think their cybersecurity is like impenetrable, right? Like a digital fortress.
Mm-hmm.
But then they hire these ethical hackers, right, to
Yeah.
put it to the test. This is red teams, blue teams, and even purple teams. We're looking at a document today from Rhino Cybersecurity.
Okay.
They kind of live and breathe this stuff.
Interesting. One of the things that I saw that Rhino really emphasizes is that cyber threats, they're not static, right? They're evolving. So it's not about just checking boxes. You got to be constantly adapting and improving.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's break these teams down. So first, red team, they're the ones simulating those real-world attacks, right?
Right.
But instead of stealing data and causing chaos, they're trying to help
Right.
companies find their weak spots.
Like a good chaos.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, good chaos.
One thing that they might use is something called a social engineering attack.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. And they might try to, trick an employee to give up sensitive information.
Uh-huh. Or they might exploit a zero-day vulnerability.
Right.
Which is, a flaw in software that's not publicly known.
Right.
So using those same tactics as the attackers.
So basically they're using the same tactics as attackers, but for good.
Yeah.
What kind of benefits does Rhino say that companies get from this? Because this can't be cheap, right?
Right.
To hire a team to essentially try to hack you.
Well, one key benefit is uncovering hidden vulnerabilities, right? Companies, they often have these security blind spots.
Right.
Red teams, they can help shine a light on those.
Oh, okay.
And Rhino talks about how a red team exercise can help a company close off what they call attack paths.
Yeah.
Which are essentially those routes that attackers could use to get in.
Right. So they're closing off those routes.
Yeah.
So red team, they're finding the weaknesses.
Mm-hmm.
What about blue team? Are they on the opposite side of this, like a capture the flag game?
Yeah, they're all about defense.
Okay.
They're like the incident response experts.
Right.
Constantly monitoring systems, analyzing logs, and responding to any signs of an attack.
So wouldn't this create some tension, though, right? Like you've got the red team trying to break in, you got the blue team trying to keep them out.
Right.
Some tug-of-war going on.
And that's where that idea of breakout time comes in. It's a crucial metric that Rhino highlights.
Okay.
And it measures, the time it takes an attacker, in this case the red team,
Right.
to gain access and then move laterally within a network.
Oh, okay.
And so the faster the blue team can contain the threat, the less damage that can be done.
So it's like a race against the clock.
Right.
The red team is trying to see how far they can get. The blue team is trying to shut them down as quick as possible.
Right.
This is intense.
Yeah, it can be intense, but that's the point.
Yeah.
These exercises need to be realistic to be effective.
Now, Rhino also mentions this thing called the MITRE ATT&CK framework. What is that all about?
Yeah, so that's a globally recognized knowledge base of adversary tactics and techniques based on real-world observations. So essentially, it provides a common language for discussing and understanding these cyber attacks.
Right.
And both red and blue teams can use this to inform their strategies.
So it's kind of like a playbook for both sides.
Yeah.
Wow, that's fascinating. But I'm still kind of stuck on this idea of red and blue teams butting heads, right? Like, how do we get past that?
And that brings us to the concept of the purple team.
Okay, how does purple team fit into all of this?
Yeah, so purple team, it isn't really a separate entity.
Okay.
It's more of a philosophy, a way of working.
Okay.
And it's all about red and blue teams collaborating, sharing knowledge and learning from each other.
So instead of competing, they're working together to strengthen the company's overall security posture.
Right.
That makes sense, right? Like
Yeah.
you've got your attackers and defenders training together.
And this is where, Rhino's expertise really shines.
Right.
They don't just conduct these red team exercises. They help companies build this culture of collaboration between red and blue teams, fostering that, purple team mentality.
Okay, so that's a very interesting approach.
Yeah.
But let's get specific here. What kind of tools and techniques do these blue teams actually use?
Well, they have a whole arsenal at their disposal.
Okay.
Think of things like security information and event management systems, or SIEMs for short.
Okay.
And these systems, they collect and analyze security data from across the entire network, looking for any suspicious activity.
So it's like a central nervous system
Yeah.
for cybersecurity, constantly monitoring for any signs of trouble.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And then there are threat intelligence platforms.
Right.
These platforms provide up-to-date information on the latest cyber threats,
Okay.
including malware signatures, attacker tactics, and known vulnerabilities.
Okay.
And this intelligence helps the blue team stay ahead of the curve
Right.
and
Yeah.
anticipate those attacks before they happen.
So it sounds like being on the blue team requires a lot of technical expertise and constant learner.
Absolutely. It's a demanding role,
Yeah.
but incredibly important in today's cyber landscape.
Okay, so we've got red team probing for weaknesses, we've got blue team defending the fortress, and then purple team is fostering collaboration between the two.
Right.
This is all starting to paint a clearer picture for me.
And remember, Rhino's approach emphasizes that this isn't just a one-time thing. It's about constantly adapting and evolving your security posture to stay ahead of the ever-changing threat landscape.
It's not just about fixing the problems you find today, it's about building a security culture that can adapt to whatever comes next.
Right.
This is a lot to process, but I'm eager to hear more about how Rhino puts all of this into practice.
Yeah.
So we got the roles of red, blue, and purple team kind of laid out, but how does this actually play out in a real-world scenario?
That's where Rhino's adversary emulation exercise comes in. It's not just a theoretical test. It's like a full-blown simulation of a targeted attack.
Hold on, a full-blown simulated attack? What does that even look like?
So, like, imagine this. Rhino researches a company, right?
Okay.
Their specific industry, their digital footprint, even public-facing employees.
Oh, wow.
And they use that to craft an attack scenario that mirrors, the tactics real cyber criminals would use against that company.
So it's not like some generic off-the-shelf test. It's tailored to the company's unique vulnerabilities and potential attack factors. That sounds intense.
It is, and it's that intensity that, that makes it valuable.
Okay.
Rhino uses real-world threat intelligence, pulling from their knowledge of actual cyber attacks to make that simulation as realistic as possible.
So they're not holding back. They're throwing the kitchen sink at the company, but in a safe environment, of course. So what kind of results are we talking about? How do companies actually benefit from this kind of exercise?
Well, Rhino highlights a few key areas where they see real impact. First, there's incident response. By going through a simulated attack, the blue team can practice their response plans in a controlled setting.
So it's like a fire drill, but for cyber attacks, you don't want to be figuring things out in the heat of the moment when real data is on the line.
Exactly. And by running these drills, the blue team can identify gaps in their processes, refine their communication protocols, and ultimately improve their ability to contain and remediate a real attack.
That makes a lot of sense. Practice makes perfect, even in the world of cybersecurity. But it can't just be about incident response. What about actually preventing attacks in the first place?
Right, and that's where the red team's insights come into play.
Right.
By uncovering vulnerabilities during the simulation, the company can proactively address those weaknesses, right?
Right.
And close off those attack paths before real attackers can exploit them.
So it's not just about reacting to attacks, it's about proactively building a stronger defense. That's a key takeaway, for sure.
Absolutely, and beyond just, shoring up defenses, these exercises also provides valuable threat intelligence.
Okay.
By simulating these real-world attack scenarios, the company gains insights into the latest tactics and techniques used by, cybercriminals.
So it's like getting a sneak peek into the attacker's playbook. That kind of knowledge must be incredibly valuable for staying ahead of the curve.
Absolutely. It helps the security team understand, the evolving threat landscape and anticipate those future attacks.
This is all starting to click for me now. You got the red team acting as the adversary, the blue team defending, and the purple team fostering collaboration. And Rhino's adversary emulation exercise brings all these elements together in a high-stakes but controlled environment.
Exactly. And it's important to note that this isn't just about, big tech companies or government agencies.
Right.
Rhino works with organizations of all sizes and industries. They even mention case studies on their website, showcasing how they've helped a national store chain, a private jet charter company, and even a North American trade association enhance their security posture through these exercises.
So whether you're a multinational corporation or a small business, these principles of red, blue, and purple teams and the value of realistic simulations apply across the board. It really drives home the point that cybersecurity is everyone's responsibility.
Absolutely. And I think one of the most compelling aspects of Rhino's approach is that it goes beyond just, checking boxes for compliance.
Right.
It's about building a security culture, a mindset of continuous improvement and adaptation.
Right. It's not just about meeting some minimum standard. It's about striving for excellence in cybersecurity, right?
Yeah,
Recognizing that the threat landscape is constantly evolving. You got to evolve with it.
precisely. And that brings us to the concept of risk management,
Okay?
which is another key area where Rhino sees these exercises having a significant impact.
Okay, risk management. That sounds important, but how does it tie into all of this?
Well, it's about understanding what your most valuable assets are, where your biggest vulnerabilities lie, and how to prioritize your security efforts,
Okay.
right? And by going through this realistic simulation, companies can get a clear picture of how well their current risk management strategies would hold up in a real attack.
So it's not just about feeling secure, it's about actually being secure.
Right.
Based on evidence and testing, I'm starting to see how this approach can really move the needle in terms of cybersecurity maturity.
Yeah, it's not just about identifying and fixing vulnerabilities. It's about building a more resilient organization, one that can anticipate, withstand, and recover from cyber attacks.
And Rhino's approach, with their focus on red, blue, and purple team collaboration and realistic simulations, seems like a pretty solid framework for achieving that. It's really striking how Rhino emphasizes that cybersecurity is not like a destination, it's a journey, you know?
Right.
It's this constant evolution and adaptation.
It's like a game of chess where, like, the rules are constantly changing and, your opponent is always thinking 3 steps ahead. You can't just set up your defenses and be done. You have to be constantly learning, adapting, and improving.
Yeah, that makes sense. And Rhino's approach, with its emphasis on these red teams, blue teams, and purple teams, it's designed to address that, right?
Right.
They're not just selling a product, it's like they're selling a mindset, a way of thinking about cybersecurity.
Exactly. And it's a mindset that, I think could be applied beyond just cybersecurity.
Oh, interesting. How so?
Well, think about it. Like the core principles of these teams, proactive testing, continuous improvement, collaboration, those are relevant in so many areas of life, whether you're managing a project, developing a new product, or even just like trying to achieve a personal goal. Those concepts can be powerful.
Okay, I see where you're going with this. So how could someone apply these cybersecurity team principles in like a non-cybersecurity context?
Let's take project management as an example. Imagine you're, leading a complex project.
Okay.
Lots of moving parts, potential risks.
Mm-hmm.
You could apply that red team mentality, right?
Okay.
By proactively seeking out potential problems, challenging assumptions,
Okay.
kind of playing devil's advocate
Yeah.
to find those weaknesses in your plan.
It's like a red team, you're trying to break things, but in a constructive way.
Right.
To find those hidden flaws
Exactly.
before they become real problems.
And then just like a blue team, you would have your project team, right?
Right.
Focused on execution, monitoring progress, and responding to any issues that arise.
Okay.
And that collaborative purple team approach would come in when you bring those two perspectives together,
Right.
fostering open communication, knowledge sharing to make sure that, the project stays on track.
It's almost like you're creating this mini cybersecurity team within your project team, but instead of protecting data, you're protecting the project's success.
That's a great way to put it. And the beauty of it is that these principles are adaptable,
Right.
You can tailor them to fit any context.
This has given me a lot to think about. It's amazing how these concepts, which initially seemed very specific to cybersecurity, can actually have broader applications.
It speaks to the power of, frameworks and mental models.
Mm-hmm.
When you learn something new, it's not just about the specific information.
Right.
It's about, the way it changes your thinking,
Right.
the new perspectives that it opens up.
I completely agree. This deep dive has definitely expanded my thinking about cybersecurity and beyond. We've gone from red teams and blue teams to project management and personal growth. It's been quite a journey.
And that's what makes this so fascinating, right? Cybersecurity is not just about technology.
Right.
It's about people, processes, and mindset. And those elements are relevant in every aspect of our lives.
I think we've successfully infiltrated the world of cybersecurity teams today, and we've even explored how these concepts can be applied beyond just the digital realm.
Yeah, absolutely. So, as you go about your day, your week, your life, think about where these principles might be helpful. Could you benefit from a red team challenging your assumptions, a blue team strengthening your defenses against, different challenges, or a purple team collaboration leading to those, like, breakthrough solutions? It's a fascinating question to ponder.
Food for thought, for sure. And that's what I love about these deep dives. We don't just gain knowledge, we gain these new perspectives. We get these frameworks for thinking about the world around us. It's been a pleasure diving deep with you today. Until next time, stay curious, stay informed, and stay secure.